We have with us two superintendents today, and I'm going to ask them to each introduce themselves and their districts. And then we're going to ask them a couple questions about what life is like in the state of Arizona as a new superintendent.
Hello, I'm Cindy Maddox, and I am with Winslow Unified School District.
I'm Mike Pensa, Superintendent of Flagstaff Unified School District.
We will start with, what were you least prepared for during your first year as a new superintendent?
Well, Mark, I think mine was a realization of how important it is to know how to get legal advice. I had never had to do that in the past, and so to be able to reach out to the right people for the for that certain question that was going on, I needed to know where to go for the information I needed.
Let's follow up on that for a second. Were you surprised by how often you needed to consult lawyers?
I was almost every week, and I've gotten to be really good friends with one of our lawyers. And so, I mean, they've been so helpful to get me through my first year that I put a lot of trust in them to keep our district going down the tracks.
Okay, now let's move on to Mike. And what were you least prepared for in your first year as a new superintendent?
I think the challenge in those first months is just managing expectations. Your board hired you. In my circumstance, I came from out of state, and so I think in some ways they're looking for something, or they're expecting some results, but it's trying to maybe manage that enthusiasm and quest for change, and to allow you the time to really listen and learn and meet with people and really understand the culture, so that then you could be very wise in your decision making about how to move the district and the culture forward without just coming in guns a-blazing, shock and awe kind of situation. And so it's kind of tempering in that fine dance, because the board hired you, they wanted some kind of change, but also honoring the great work that's occurred in the district, honoring the people that are part of that. And so it's just kind of managing those first 100 days. And I feel like this is about least prepared. I think I'm able to navigate that process through great support from this superintendent's collaborative, and understanding really the key people, stakeholders you should be listening to, learning from during those first 100 days. And so while you're always kind of learning and never fully prepared, I feel like I had some tools to kind of navigate through that in a successful way.
Many new superintendents find themselves unprepared for dealing with a governing board and relationships with the governing board. Now that you've each had 1 year to do that, what advice would you give new superintendents on how to deal with their governing boards?
Me coming in as a first-year superintendent was under the guise of 3 new board members coming on at the same time, basically. And I think my biggest advice would be to sit down and get to know them and find out where their passion is and why they ran and what they see the district future as. Where are they seeing that people are coming to them and the reason that they ran? But just get to know them, and they're serving the community, so we need to work together.
I'd say communicate, and just like what was shared is honoring their service to the community, and really acknowledging their commitment to education and kids, and just that people get the hours, the reading, the meetings, just this, so really acknowledging them for their service. Taking time to understand, why did you run for the board, and understand what they're passionate about, and then, don't just rely on just emails, but you need to do just, phone calls. Obviously, your board president, you work so closely with on developing agendas, but then reaching out to your other board members in a phone call, or coming in for a cup of coffee and just an individual meeting. But communicate. What I found from my board, also we had new board members coming on just prior to me coming in as a new superintendent, is they yearned for onboarding and training and understanding about their roles. So this year, part of our work together, we're developing a governing board handbook that could be used when those next members come on. So, they need that training and support, just like a new superintendent needs a collaborative training. They're growing just like a new superintendent is. So, communicate and just onboarding.
So I hear from both of you, build the relationship. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, now that we've heard advice about governing boards, you've spent this last year dealing with the new superintendent's collaborative, and you've undoubtedly gotten advice there. What have you found helpful about the new superintendent's collaborative?
Well, for me, having a certain mentor was very helpful. But even further back than that is the group at large, because we have so many of the new superintendents had so much experience that they brought in with them, and then with the mentors, you could seriously go back and have any question you needed answered. You could get input to any problem you had from so many people that are just quality educators, and that was very poignant for me as I walked through my first year.
Yeah, I think the Superintendent's Collaborative, provided an opportunity to have this network of people, especially, someone coming from another state. You're just learning the alphabet soup, all these organizations and the political, Arizona is very political compared to other states that I've served in. And so just having a network, the topics that we covered in our face-to-face sessions were things that applied to all of our roles across, a very diverse, state and districts of all different sizes. It was relevant for all of us. But, like was also shared, just having a mentor, that one person to reach out to when you had a question, and who you knew was always there to support you. Or, I found my mentor just to be a great cheerleader of just, hey, a superintendent can be a lonely job. You don't always get the positive feedback you need as you're struggling through things. And so just having a mentor there who would just shoot an email every once in a while and say, I'm thinking about you, I'm cheering for you, or I saw this article in the newspaper, hey, I'm coming up to Flagstaff next week, could we meet for lunch? I just found that part just really helped push me forward and provided the connections I needed to be successful.
So you would then encourage other new superintendents to take advantage of this opportunity?
Without a doubt.
Absolutely. Absolutely.